What's this? The voice is velvet and iron, wrapped around two words that make every nerve in Bryn's body light up with a complicated mixture of dread and something she refuses to name. She knows that voice. She's heard it in boardroom presentations, in the elevator when she thought she was alone, in her dreams when her subconscious betrays her common sense. She looks up, still on her knees, and finds Vex Ashford standing above her. He's holding the restraining order. The king of Silvercrest Holdings, though the whispered rumors in the break room call him something else entirely, something that sounds like fantasy and feels like truth, stares down at the document in his hand. His eyes, an impossible shade of silver that seems to catch light even in shadow, scan the page with predatory focus. Before we continue, please prove my mom wrong. She says I can't hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, let's continue. Bryn watches his jaw tighten, watches his fingers, long, elegant, unnaturally still, curl around the edges of the paper. Bryn. Her name on his lips sounds like a command and a question. Why didn't you tell me he was stalking you? The lobby isn't silent anymore. She can hear whispers now, spreading like wildfire through the handful of employees and visitors who've stopped to watch this scene unfold. Shannon from accounting stands by the elevator, her eyes wide. Marcus, one of the senior analysts, has his phone out. Bryn's face burns. She gets to her feet, her knees protesting, and reaches for the document. That's private. Please, give it back. Vex doesn't move. His gaze shifts from the paper to her face, and the intensity of it makes her want to step back. She doesn't. She learned a long time ago that showing weakness only makes things worse. Private, he repeats, and there's something dangerous threading through his tone now. You filed for a restraining order against... His eyes drop back to the paper. Derek Hutchins. Filed it 6 days ago. And you didn't think to mention this? Why would I mention it to you? The words come out sharper than she intends, born from embarrassment and the acute awareness that at least 15 people are now watching her personal crisis play out like dinner theater. You're my boss's boss's boss. You run a company. I'm nobody. I handle data entry for the marketing department. Something flickers across Vex's face. If she didn't know better, she'd call it hurt. Nobody, he says softly, and the word sounds wrong in his mouth, like he's tasting something bitter. Then his voice drops lower, quieter, and somehow that makes it more terrifying. Is he here? In this building? Bryn's stomach clenches. No. He works across town, at Meridian Tech. The order means he has to stay at least 500 feet away from me, so you thought that would stop him. It's not a question. Vex says it like someone who knows exactly how little a piece of paper means to certain types of men. The knowing in his voice makes Bryn's throat tight. She thinks about the texts that still come from unknown numbers, the flowers left on her car windshield at her apartment complex, the way she saw Derek's silver sedan parked outside the coffee shop where she stops every morning, even though that shop is nowhere near his office or his apartment. It's handled, she lies, and reaches for the document again. Please, I need to get upstairs. I have the quarterly reports due to Mr. Chen by noon, and if I'm late, Vex's hand closes around her wrist. The touch sends electricity racing up her arm. His skin is cool, not cold, but noticeably cooler than it should be. She's noticed that before, the few times they've been in the same room. The break room rumors suddenly feel less like fantasy and more like dangerous reality. Come with me, he says. I can't. I have work. Now, Bryn. It's the voice he uses in board meetings, the one that makes senior executives straighten their spines and pay attention. But when he says her name, there's something else underneath the command. Something that sounds almost like fear. He doesn't wait for her to agree. His hand shifts from her wrist to the small of her back, and he guides her toward the private elevator at the far end of the lobby, the one that only goes to the top floor, the one that employees like Bryn have never been inside. She should pull away, should insist on going to her desk, on maintaining the careful professional distance that's kept her safe for the 2 years she's worked at Silvercrest Holdings. But Vex's hand is warm through the thin fabric of her blouse, and the look on his face when he read that restraining order was something she can't quite parse. Rage, yes, but also something that looked almost like anguish. The elevator doors close behind them with a soft whisper of sound. Vex still has the restraining order. He's reading it again, his face carved from marble, his eyes moving across the lines where Bryn had to describe, in clinical, legal language, the escalating pattern of Derek's behavior. The texts, the calls, the gifts, the way he followed her home from a friend's birthday party. The night he stood outside her apartment building for 4 hours just watching her windows. Subject has made repeated unwanted contact, Vex reads aloud, his voice tight. Subject has appeared at respondent's residence despite clear verbal instructions to cease contact. Respondent fears for her safety. He looks up at her. You're afraid of him. Bryn crosses her arms over her chest, suddenly cold in the climate-controlled elevator. I filed the paperwork. I did what I'm supposed to do. The legal system fails women like you every single day. Vex's words are clipped, precise, and absolutely certain. You know that. That's why you're carrying pepper spray in your purse along with this order. That's why you changed your route to work. That's why you don't stay late in the office anymore, even when you need to. She stares at him. How do you know that? The elevator reaches the top floor. The doors slide open to reveal an office that's more like a luxury penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city, letting in streams of gray afternoon light. The furniture is all dark wood and leather, expensive and masculine, and somehow perfectly suited to the man standing beside her. Vex walks to the windows, his back to her. I notice things, Bryn. I notice when you started taking the long way from the parking garage. I notice when you leave at exactly 5 o'clock instead of staying until 6 like you used to. I notice when you check over your shoulder in the lobby. The admission hangs in the air between them. Bryn's heart is doing something complicated in her chest. That's kind of creepy, actually. Vex turns, and the look on his face makes her breath catch. Is it? Or is it what happens when someone matters to you and you can't find a way to tell them? The words land like stones in still water, sending ripples through everything Bryn thought she understood about her position in this building, in this company, in Vex Ashford's world. I'm nobody, she says again, but her voice wavers this time. You run this entire company. You have board meetings with people who wear suits that cost more than my car. I'm aware of what I am. Vex crosses the distance between them in 3 long strides. And I'm aware of the rules. The professional boundaries, the power dynamics. Every reason why I should have stayed away from you. He stops just close enough that she has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. But right now, in this moment, none of that matters as much as the fact that someone is threatening you, and you didn't think you could come to me. Bryn's eyes burn. She blinks hard, refusing to cry. What were you going to do? Fire him? You don't even know him. Derek doesn't work here. There's no policy you can enforce, no HR complaint I can file that would... I could have protected you. The words are quiet. Absolute. And they carry a weight that makes the hair on the back of Bryn's neck stand up. She thinks about the rumors, about the way Vex never seems to eat lunch, about how he's never been seen during daylight hours outside the building, how his office windows are always tinted, how his skin is always cool to the touch, about the time she worked late and heard voices from the executive floor, low, inhuman sounds that made her pack up and leave without saving her work. What are you? She whispers. Vex goes very still. What do you think I am? I think, Bryn's voice catches. I think the rumors are true. I think you're not human. And I think that should terrify me, but right now all I can think about is that Derek knows where I live, and the restraining order just makes him angrier, and I'm so tired of being scared. The confession breaks something open in her chest. She is tired. She's exhausted from checking her locks 3 times before bed, from taking different routes to work, from the constant low-level fear that's become her normal, from trying to be small and quiet and invisible, hoping that will somehow keep her safe. Vex reaches out slowly, telegraphing his movement like he's approaching a frightened animal. His hand cups her face, thumb brushing away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. "You're right," he says. "I'm not human. Haven't been for a very long time. And yes, that should probably terrify you." His thumb traces her cheekbone. "But I would never hurt you, Bryn. Never. And I won't let anyone else hurt you either. You can't promise that. Can't I?" Something flickers in his silver eyes, something ancient and dangerous and absolutely certain. "I've been alive for 3 centuries. I've built empires and destroyed them. I've walked through wars and plagues and the rise and fall of kingdoms. And in all that time, across all those years, I have never, not once, felt about anyone the way I feel about you." Bryn's breath catches. "You don't even know me. I know you take your coffee black because you learned to drink it that way in college when you couldn't afford cream. I know you keep a photo of your grandmother in your desk drawer and you touch it before big presentations for luck. I know you write thank you notes by hand to the cleaning staff during the holidays. I know you defend your coworkers in meetings, even when it costs you political capital. I know you're brilliant and kind and stronger than you give yourself credit for." His voice drops. "And I know you deserve so much better than to live in fear of a man who can't understand that no means no." The words wrap around Bryn's heart and squeeze. No one has ever looked at her like this. Like she matters, like she's worth protecting. "What are you going to do?" she asks. Vex's smile is all teeth. "I'm going to have a conversation with Derek Hutchins." "Vex, you can't. If you hurt him, if you do anything that violates the restraining order on my behalf, I could get in trouble. The court will never know I was involved." Vex's hand slides from her face to her neck, his cool fingers resting against her pulse. "Trust me, Bryn. Let me handle this. Let me keep you safe." She should say no. Should insist on handling this through proper channels, through the legal system, through all the official routes that are supposed to protect women like her. But she's so tired of being afraid. And the way Vex is looking at her, like she's precious, like she's worth fighting for, makes her want to believe that someone can actually make this stop. "Okay," she whispers. "Okay." Vex's eyes flash silver bright. He leans forward, and for a heart-stopping moment, Bryn thinks he's going to kiss her. Instead, his lips brush her forehead, cool and gentle. "Stay here," he says. "I'll be back before dark." Then he's gone, moving with that inhuman speed she's only glimpsed before. And Bryn is alone in the office of a vampire king who just promised to protect her. She sinks into the leather chair behind his desk and tries to remember how to breathe. Vex returns 3 hours later as the sun is setting, painting the office in shades of amber and crimson. Bryn has been sitting at his desk, ostensibly working on the quarterly reports on her laptop, but mostly staring at the city spread out below and wondering what she's gotten herself into. When he walks through the door, she knows immediately that something has changed. There's a satisfaction in his expression, a dangerous sort of contentment that makes her pulse quicken. "Is he—" she starts, then stops. "What did you do?" Vex crosses to the bar in the corner of his office and pours himself 2 fingers of what looks like whiskey. Derek Hutchins has decided to accept a very generous job offer in Seattle. He'll be relocating next week. The position comes with a signing bonus substantial enough that he'll be able to afford a nice apartment in Capitol Hill, far away from you. Bryn stands up slowly. "You bribed him to leave town." "I offered him an opportunity." Vex takes a sip of his drink. One that made it very clear that staying in this city would be unwise for his continued health and prosperity. Vex? He was never going to stop Bryn. Vex sets down his glass with a sharp click. The restraining order would have expired. He would have waited. Men like Derek Hutchins don't respect boundaries or court orders. They only respect power. He moves toward her. "And I made it very clear that you are under my protection now. That any attempt to contact you, to come near you, to even think about you in the wrong way, would result in consequences he couldn't imagine, in his worst nightmares." Bryn's hands are shaking. You threatened him! I educated him about reality. Vex is close enough now that she can see the gold flecks in his silver eyes. About the fact that there are things in this world much more dangerous than restraining orders, and that you belong to one of them now. I don't belong to anyone, Bryn says, but her voice lacks conviction. Don't you? Vex reaches out, his fingers trailing down her arm. You asked me what I was going to do. I did it. Derek Hutchins will never bother you again. You're safe now, because of me. The possessiveness in his voice should make her angry, should make her pull away and remind him that she's a person, not a possession. But instead, it makes heat pool low in her belly. Because he's right. She is safe now. For the first time in months, she can breathe without fear. Thank you, she whispers. Vex's expression softens. You don't need to thank me for doing what should have been done the moment he first made you uncomfortable. He cups her face in both hands. You deserve to feel safe, Bryn. You deserve to live without fear. And I'm going to make sure you have that. Why? The question slips out before she can stop it. Why do you care so much? You could have anyone. You're powerful and wealthy and very, very lonely. Vex's thumb brushes her lower lip. For a very long time, I've been alone. I've built this company, created this empire, surrounded myself with people and success and all the trappings of power. But none of it means anything. None of it fills the space inside that's been empty for longer than you can imagine. His forehead touches hers, and Bryn's eyes flutter closed. Until you, he continues, his voice rough. Until you walked into a board meeting 6 months ago to deliver a presentation that your supervisor was too sick to give. You were nervous. Your hands shook. But you stood there, and you delivered every point with clarity and passion, and when someone questioned your data, you defended it with evidence and grace. And I looked at you and thought, there she is, the one I've been waiting for. Bryn's breath comes in shallow gasps. That's insane. You don't fall in love with someone in a board meeting. You do when you've been alive for 300 years, and you've never felt anything like it before. Vex pulls back just enough to meet her eyes. I know this is fast. I know it seems impossible. But I also know that I'm not going to let you slip away because I was too afraid to tell you the truth. What truth? That I'm in love with you, Bryn Sheffield. That I have been for months. And that I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to prove that you can trust me. That you can build a life with me. His voice drops to a whisper. That you can let me worship you the way you deserve. The words settle into Bryn's bones like they've been waiting for a home. And maybe they have. Maybe that's why she's been so aware of Vex every time they've been in the same room. Why she's found excuses to walk past his office. Why her heart races when she hears his voice. I'm not... She starts, then stops. I'm not special. I'm not sophisticated or educated or... You're everything. Vex's voice is fierce. You're kind and brilliant and resilient. You're real in a world full of people playing roles. And you see me, not the king, not the CEO, not the monster in the shadows. You see me. Bryn thinks about the rumors, about the whispered stories of what Vex Ashford really is, and she realizes that she's not afraid. Not of him. Not anymore. Show me, she whispers. Vex goes very still. Show you what? What you are. All of it. No more hiding. For a long moment, Vex just looks at her. Then slowly, deliberately, he lets the mask fall. His eyes bleed pure silver, bright enough to light the darkening office. His canines lengthen, sharp and white and undeniably inhuman. The air around him seems to shimmer with power, with an ancient presence that makes Bryn's knees weak. He's terrifying. He's beautiful. He's everything the stories promised and more. This is what I am, he says, and his voice carries echoes of centuries. I'm a predator. I've killed. I've ruled. I've done things that would make you turn away in horror if you knew the details. He takes a shaky breath. But I would never, never hurt you. You have my word, my oath, everything I am. Bryn reaches up with trembling fingers and touches his face. His skin is cool, smooth, perfect, inhuman. I believe you, she says. The relief that floods Vex's face is almost painful to witness. He catches her hand, brings it to his lips, kisses her palm with reverent care. When he looks at her again, his eyes have returned to their normal silver, his canines retracted. I need to tell you something, he says. About tomorrow. Bryn's stomach tightens. What about tomorrow? There's a gala, a fundraiser for the children's hospital. The company is the primary sponsor, and I'm expected to attend. He pauses. I want you to come with me. As my date. Bryn's eyes widen. Vex, I can't. That's a public event. Everyone will see. Yes, they will. Vex's smile is sharp. They'll see that you're under my protection, that you're important to me, that anyone who even thinks about hurting you will have to go through me first. His hand tightens on hers. And they'll see that I'm not ashamed of who I've chosen, that I'm proud to stand beside you. I don't have anything to wear to something like that. I can't. Vex silences her with a finger against her lips. I've already arranged for a stylist to meet you at your apartment tomorrow at 3. She'll bring options. All you have to do is show up and let me show you off. Bryn's heart is hammering so hard she's sure he can hear it. This is crazy. Probably. Vex's smile gentles. But it's also real. And I'm done pretending I don't want you. Done hiding what you mean to me. He steps closer, until there's barely a breath between them. Say yes, Bryn. Let me claim you publicly. Let me show the world that you're mine. The possessiveness should bother her. It really should. But instead, it makes her feel safe, wanted, protected. Yes, she whispers. Okay. Yes. Vex's kiss is cool and careful and absolutely devastating. He tastes like whiskey and promises, like power and restraint held together by the thinnest thread. When he pulls back, his eyes are molten silver. Thank you, he breathes against her lips. Thank you for trusting me. The gala is held in the grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel, a glittering affair of crystal chandeliers and champagne fountains. Bryn stands in front of her bathroom mirror, barely recognizing herself in the floor-length emerald gown the stylist selected. The fabric hugs her curves before falling in elegant drapes to the floor, and the neckline shows just enough skin to be sophisticated without being scandalous. She looks like she belongs in Vex's world. The thought terrifies and thrills her in equal measure. When the knock comes at her door at 7 sharp, Bryn's hands shake as she opens it. Vex stands in the hallway, wearing a tailored black tux that makes him look like sin personified. His silver eyes widen when he sees her. Bryn, he breathes. You're stunning. She ducks her head, embarrassed. The stylist did all the work. I just stood there and... Vex catches her chin, tilting her face up. You were beautiful before the stylist touched you. This just makes sure everyone else sees what I've known for months. He offers his arm. Ready? No, absolutely not. But Bryn slips her hand through his elbow anyway and lets him lead her to the private car waiting at the curb. The grand ballroom is everything Bryn feared, and more. Men in tuxedos and women in designer gowns cluster in groups, their laughter bright and sharp as broken glass. A string quartet plays in the corner. Waiters circulate with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres that probably cost more than Bryn's monthly grocery budget. Every eye in the room turns when Vex walks in with Bryn on his arm. The whispers start immediately. Bryn catches fragments as they move through the crowd. Who is that? I thought he never brought dates to these things. She works for the company, in marketing, I think. Data entry. What is he doing with someone like her? The words sting, but Vex's hand covers hers, warm and reassuring. Ignore them, he murmurs. They're not worth your attention. But Bryn can't ignore them. She's hyper-aware of every glance, Every whispered comment, every assessing look from the society women who clearly think she doesn't belong here. Vex. A woman's voice cuts through the murmur, sharp and bright. What a surprise to see you with a guest. Bryn turns to find a stunning blonde in a silver gown approaching. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Vanessa? Vex's voice is cool, polite, utterly impersonal. How nice to see you. Vanessa's gaze rakes over Bryn with undisguised assessment. And who is this? This is Bryn Sheffield, Vex says, and there's steel underneath his polite tone. My girlfriend. The word lands like a bomb. Bryn's breath catches. Girlfriend. He just claimed her publicly, in front of everyone. Vanessa's smile sharpens. How unexpected. I don't believe we've met, Bryn. I'm Vanessa Hartwell. My family has done business with Silvercrest Holdings for years. She pauses delicately. What do you do? It's a trap. Bryn can feel it, but she lifts her chin and meets Vanessa's eyes directly. I work in the marketing department, data analysis. Oh, Vanessa's tone could cut glass. How nice. Vex usually dates women with a bit more, well. She laughs, the sound like tinkling bells. But I'm sure you're very good at what you do. The dismissal in her voice makes Bryn's face burn. She opens her mouth to respond, but Vex beats her to it. Bryn is exceptional at what she does, he says, and his voice carries enough power that several nearby conversations pause. She's brilliant, dedicated, and brings more value to my company in a single day than most of the people in this room bring in a year. He turns to look at Vanessa, and there's nothing polite in his expression now. And she has more genuine kindness and integrity in her little finger than you've shown in the entire time I've known your family. Vanessa's face goes white, then red. Vex, I didn't mean... Yes, you did. Vex's arm slides around Bryn's waist, pulling her close. You meant to make her feel small. To remind her that she doesn't come from money or status. To put her in what you consider to be her place. His eyes flash silver. But what you don't understand is that Bryn is worth more than all of your family's money and status combined. She's worth more than this entire room full of people who judge value by bank accounts and last names. The ballroom has gone silent. Everyone is staring now. Bryn wants to disappear, wants to sink through the floor. But Vex's arm is strong around her, holding her up, keeping her grounded. I brought Bryn here tonight because I wanted everyone to know that she's important to me, Vex continues, his voice carrying through the silent room. I wanted you all to see the woman I've chosen, the woman I intend to keep. He looks down at Bryn, and his expression softens. The woman I love? Bryn's heart stops, starts again, pounds so hard she thinks everyone must hear it. Vex turns back to the crowd, and his voice drops into something dangerous. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. Anyone who makes her uncomfortable will find themselves out of my good graces. And anyone who tries to hurt her, his eyes flash pure silver, will discover exactly what it means to cross a king. The silence stretches taut as a wire. Then someone starts clapping, a slow, deliberate sound that grows as others join in. Bryn looks around in shock to find people applauding, some with genuine smiles, others with the careful expressions of people who've just realized which way the wind is blowing. Vanessa has disappeared into the crowd. Vex turns to Bryn, his hand cupping her face. Are you all right? She nods, not trusting her voice. I'm sorry, he says quietly. I should have warned you that some of these people would be difficult. You just told an entire ballroom full of society people that you love me, Bryn whispers, in front of everyone. Yes. Vex's thumb brushes her cheekbone. I did, because it's true, and because I wanted there to be no doubt in anyone's mind about what you mean to me. He leans closer. Is that all right? Bryn thinks about the whispers, about Vanessa's cruel dismissal, about the way Vex defended her without hesitation, without concern for what anyone else thought. Yes, she says. It's more than all right. Vex's smile could light the room. He takes her hand and leads her to the dance floor as the quartet starts a waltz. His arms come around her, strong and sure, and they begin to move. Bryn has never been a particularly good dancer, but Vex leads with such confidence that she doesn't stumble once. They sweep across the floor, and she's aware of people watching, but she doesn't care anymore. All that matters is the way Vex is looking at her, like she's the only person in the room, like she's everything. "Thank you," she whispers against his chest. "For what? For defending me, for claiming me, for making me feel like I matter." Vex's arms tighten around her. "You've always mattered, Bryn. You just needed someone to see it, to say it out loud." He presses a kiss to her temple. "And I plan to keep saying it. Every day, for as long as you'll let me." The music swells around them, and Bryn closes her eyes, letting herself believe, for the first time in a very long time, that maybe she really can have this. That maybe she deserves to be protected and cherished and loved by someone who sees all of her and chooses her anyway. When the dance ends, Vex doesn't let her go. He keeps her close as they move through the room, introducing her to people whose names she's only heard in business journals. He makes it clear with every word, every touch, every possessive hand at the small of her back, that she belongs at his side. By the end of the night, Bryn's feet hurt and her face aches from smiling, but her heart feels lighter than it has in months. No one asks about Derek. No one mentions the restraining order. Because she's not the scared woman who was being stalked anymore. She's Vex Ashford's girlfriend, and everyone knows it. 3 weeks later, Bryn sits in Vex's office after hours, her feet tucked under her on the leather couch as she reviews the latest marketing data on her laptop. It's become a routine, working late in his office while he handles correspondence, then ordering takeout, and talking until the early hours of the morning. Her phone buzzes. She glances at the screen and her blood goes cold. Unknown number. But the message makes her stomach drop. Seattle isn't that far away. "Miss me?" Vex is at her side in an instant, moving with that inhuman speed. "What's wrong?" Bryn shows him the message, her hands shaking. Derek's supposed to be in Seattle. The job offer. He took the job." Vex's voice is hard. "I made sure of it. He signed the contract, accepted the signing bonus." His eyes flash silver as he reads the message again. "This is a bluff. He's trying to scare you." "It's working," Bryn whispers. Vex takes the phone from her hands and sets it aside. Then he pulls her into his lap, wrapping his arms around her. "Listen to me. Derek Hutchins is not going to hurt you. He's not going to come near you. And if he's stupid enough to try," his voice drops to something almost inhuman, "he'll discover why crossing a vampire is a fatal mistake." Bryn should probably be afraid of the violence in Vex's tone. Instead, she feels safe. Her phone buzzes again. Then again. And again. Vex grabs it, his jaw tight as he reads message after message. They're all from unknown numbers, but the content makes it clear they're from Derek. Each one more threatening than the last. "You think he can protect you? I know where you live. I saw you at the gala, playing dress-up with your vampire boyfriend. When he gets bored of you, I'll be waiting." "That's it," Vex stands, setting Bryn gently on her feet. "I'm ending this. Now." "Vex, wait," but he's already moving, pulling out his phone and making a call. "Lucas, I need you to trace some messages. Unknown numbers sent to Bryn's phone in the last 5 minutes." A pause. "Yes, now. I don't care what you're doing. This is priority." Another pause. "Good. Send me his location as soon as you have it." He hangs up and turns to Bryn. "My head of security. He'll find Derek within the hour." Bryn's heart pounds. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to have another conversation with Mr. Hutchins, one that makes my previous warnings seem gentle by comparison." Vex's expression is carved from ice. "He violated our agreement. He's threatening you. That's unacceptable." "Vex, if you hurt him..." "I'm not going to hurt him." Vex's smile is all teeth. I'm simply going to make absolutely certain he understands the consequences of continued harassment. And if he's smart, he'll decide that texting you was the worst decision he's ever made and will promptly disappear from your life forever. His phone buzzes. He glances at the screen and his eyes flash silver. Found him. He's at a bar on 5th Street. Apparently, he never actually moved to Seattle. He took the signing bonus and quit after 2 weeks. Fury radiates off Vex in waves that make the air shimmer. Bryn reaches out, catching his arm. Don't do anything you can't take back. Vex looks down at her, and some of the fury fades from his expression. I won't. I promise. But he needs to understand that you're off limits. Permanently. He kisses her. Hard and fast and possessive. Then he's gone, moving too fast for her to follow. Bryn sinks back onto the couch and tries to breathe through the anxiety clawing at her chest. She trusts Vex. She does. But she's also terrified of what might happen when an angry vampire confronts the man who's been terrorizing her for months. 40 minutes later, her phone rings. Vex's name flashes on the screen. It's done, he says without preamble. Derek Hutchins will not be contacting you again. Ever. Bryn's fingers tighten on the phone. What did you do? I explained reality to him. I showed him what I am. I made it very clear what would happen if he ever came near you again. A pause. He's currently on a bus to Portland with instructions to keep going until he reaches Canada. He won't be back. You can't just... I can. And I did. Vex's voice softens. You don't need to be afraid anymore, Bryn. He's gone. For good this time. Tears burn Bryn's eyes. She didn't realize how much fear she's been carrying until the weight of it suddenly lifts. Thank you, she whispers. Always. Vex's voice is rough with emotion. I'll be back at the office in 20 minutes. Wait for me? I'll be here. When Vex returns, his clothing is slightly disheveled, and there's a cut healing on his jaw. Bryn stands from the couch as he walks in, her eyes searching his face. Did he hurt you? Vex's laugh is short and sharp. No. He took a swing at me, broke his hand on my jaw. I healed. He learned a valuable lesson about the futility of fighting someone who's already dead. Bryn crosses to him, reaching up to touch the cut that's already fading. I don't know if I should be grateful or horrified. Be grateful. Vex catches her hand, pressing it against his chest. Be grateful that you have someone who will protect you, who will go to the ends of the earth to keep you safe, who loves you enough to become a monster if that's what it takes. You're not a monster. I am, actually. Vex's smile is sad. I've done monstrous things. I'll probably do more. But for you, he pulls her close. I'd do anything, be anything, fight anyone. Because you're worth it. You're worth everything. Bryn kisses him, pouring all her gratitude and fear and relief into the press of her lips against his. Vex responds with careful control, his cool hands framing her face, his body a solid anchor in her suddenly spinning world. When they break apart, Bryn whispers, I love you. Vex goes very still. Say that again. I love you. The words come easier this time, natural and true. I love you, Vex Ashford. I love that you see me. I love that you protect me. I love that you're not afraid to claim me in front of everyone. I love... Her voice breaks. I love that for the first time in my life. I feel safe. Vex's kiss this time is anything but controlled. It's desperate and claiming and full of 3 centuries worth of loneliness, finally finding its answer. When he pulls back, his eyes are molten silver and his voice is rough. You are safe, he promises. With me, you will always be safe. I swear it on everything I am. And Bryn believes him, because he's proven it. Not just with grand gestures at fancy galas, but with the small things. The way he notices when she's uncomfortable. The way he defended her to Vanessa, without hesitation. The way he tracked down Derek and made sure she'd never have to be afraid again. She's finally found someone who sees her, really sees her, and chooses to protect her anyway. Not because she's weak, but because she's valuable. Precious. Worth fighting for. Take me home, she whispers against his lips. Vex's smile is pure sin. Your place or mine? Yours. I want to see where you live, where you sleep. She pauses. Do you sleep? His laugh is warm and real. Sometimes, when I have a reason to. His eyes gleam. Would you like to be my reason? Bryn's answer is another kiss, and Vex lifts her like she weighs nothing, carrying her toward the private elevator that will take them to his penthouse. Later, wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets in Vex's massive bed, Bryn traces patterns on his chest and thinks about how drastically her life has changed. 3 weeks ago, she was alone and afraid, carrying pepper spray and a restraining order and the constant weight of fear. Now she's claimed by a vampire king who looks at her like she hung the moon, protected and cherished and loved in ways she never imagined possible. What are you thinking? Vex's voice rumbles beneath her ear. That this feels like a fairy tale? Bryn admits. The kind where the ordinary girl gets rescued by the prince. Except you're not a prince. You're something much more dangerous. And does that frighten you? Bryn lifts her head to look at him. His silver eyes glow softly in the darkness, inhuman and beautiful. No, it makes me feel powerful. Because if someone like you chooses someone like me, then maybe I'm not as ordinary as I thought. Vex's hand slides into her hair, cradling her skull. You were never ordinary, Bryn. Never. You just needed someone to show you what I've seen from the beginning. He pulls her down for a slow, thorough kiss. You're extraordinary. And you're mine. The possessiveness should bother her. It really should. But instead, it makes her feel treasured, claimed, protected. Yours, she agrees, and settles back against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Slower than a human's, but strong and real. For the first time in months, Bryn falls asleep without fear. Because she knows that if any nightmare dares to disturb her rest, she has a vampire king ready to destroy it, and that's more powerful than any restraining order could ever be. The end comes at dawn. Not an ending, really. More like a beginning. But it happens at dawn, which is ironic considering who Vex is. Bryn wakes to find Vex sitting on the edge of the bed, already dressed in one of his impeccable suits, watching her with an expression she can't quite read. What's wrong? She asks, pushing herself up against the pillows. Nothing's wrong. Vex reaches out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Everything's right. That's what I'm trying to process. Bryn's heart skips. What do you mean? Vex takes a breath, unnecessary for someone who doesn't technically need to breathe, but old habits die hard. I've been alive for 300 years, Bryn. I've had relationships, affairs, dalliances. But I've never... He pauses, searching for words. I've never wanted to keep someone, to build a life with them, to imagine centuries instead of decades. The weight of what he's saying settles over Bryn like a blanket. Heavy, warm, terrifying. Vex. I know it's fast. His hand cups her face. I know you're human, and I'm not. I know there are complications we haven't even begun to discuss. But I also know that I want you in my life. Not just for now. Not just until the novelty wears off. Forever. Bryn's breath catches. Forever is a very long time. It is. Vex's smile is sad. And you won't have forever. You'll have a human lifespan, and I'll have, he gestures vaguely, what I've always had. And eventually I'll lose you. But even knowing that, even knowing the pain that's waiting at the end of this road, I still want every moment with you that I can get. Tears burn Bryn's eyes. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Is it? Vex leans forward, pressing his forehead to hers. Because from where I'm sitting, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. Knowing that our time is finite makes every second precious. Makes every touch, every word, every morning like this one matter in ways that immortality can never provide. Bryn thinks about that. About the gift of mortality. the way it makes every moment count. And she thinks about Vex, who's lived for centuries and still chooses to spend his precious time with her. "I love you," she says, because what else is there to say? Vex's kiss is soft and reverent. When he pulls back, his eyes are bright with unshed tears that shouldn't be possible for someone like him. "I have something for you," he says, reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulls out a small velvet box, and Bryn's heart stops. "Vex, it's not what you think. Not yet." He opens the box to reveal a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a crescent moon. "This is a protection charm. Old magic, vampire magic. As long as you wear it, anyone who means you harm will feel the weight of my power. It won't stop bullets, but it will make sure that anyone with ill intent knows exactly who they'd be crossing if they hurt you." Bryn stares at the necklace. That's incredible. "May I?" Vex gestures to her neck. She nods, turning so he can fasten the clasp. The metal is cool against her skin, and the moment it settles into place, Bryn feels something shift. Like a door closing, like a shield sliding into place. She touches the pendant, feeling the weight of Vex's protection literally hanging around her neck. "Thank you," she whispers. Vex turns her to face him, his hands on her shoulders. "Thank you for trusting me, for letting me protect you, for choosing me despite everything I am. Because of everything you are," Bryn corrects. She kisses him, slow and deep, pouring everything she feels into the press of her lips against his. When they finally break apart, the sun is starting to paint the sky outside Vex's blackout curtains. "I have to go," Vex says reluctantly. "Board meeting at 8, but I'll see you at lunch?" "I'll be in the data analysis lab until at least 1, Bryn says. "But yes, lunch." Vex kisses her once more, then he's gone, moving through the penthouse with that inhuman grace. Bryn gets up, finds one of Vex's dress shirts to wear, and makes her way to the kitchen. She's making coffee when her phone rings. Unknown number. Her heart stutters, but she answers anyway, because she's wearing Vex's protection charm, and she's not afraid anymore. "Hello? Ms. Sheffield?" a professional female voice. "This is Detective Morrison with the Portland Police Department. I'm calling about Derek Hutchins." Bryn's stomach drops. What about him? "Mr. Hutchins turned himself in this morning. He's confessed to stalking and harassment, and has requested we inform you that he's accepted a plea deal that includes mandatory therapy and a permanent restraining order. He's also agreed to relocate to Canada as part of his probation terms." Bryn sinks into a chair. He confessed?" "Yes, ma'am. Apparently, he had what he described as a come-to-Jesus moment last night and realized he needed help." A pause. "I don't know what changed his mind, but I wanted you to know that you won't be hearing from him again. The restraining order is permanent, and any violation will result in immediate arrest." "Thank you," Bryn manages. "Thank you for calling." When she hangs up, she stares at her phone for a long moment. Then she texts Vex. Derek confessed. Turned himself in. Permanent restraining order. His response is immediate. "I know. I may have suggested that cooperation would be in his best interest." Bryn laughs, the sound watery and relieved. Of course Vex knew. Of course he'd already handled it. "Thank you. Always. See you at lunch. I love you. I love you too." Bryn sets down her phone and touches the crescent moon pendant at her throat. Then she finishes making her coffee and gets ready for work, because she has a job to do and a life to live. A life that now includes a vampire king who loves her, protects her, and chose her out of all the people in the world. She's not ordinary. She never was. She was just waiting for someone to see her the way Vex sees her, as something precious and valuable and worth fighting for. And now that she has that, she's never letting it go. Neither is he.